It's a new chapter for the next generation of players in search of their NBA dreams. This draft, however, is anything but ordinary. Seasons cut short, no NCAA tournament or NBA Summer League, not even pickup games in most places. And with opening night fast approaching and less time to prepare, this class of rookies will be challenged more than ever before. But they are ready. Like so many organizations fighting their way through the pandemic, we're trying to adapt to a new normal. At the same time, we recognize that virtually every decision comes with enormous uncertainty. By opening our season on Christmas week, we not only hope to find a way to operate safely and responsibly, but to inspire resilience and optimism in others who are also struggling through these difficult times. And while tonight we welcome the best of the best from around the world, we also celebrate a game whose universal values have been passed down from generation to generation. Values like respect, equality, tolerance, and fairness. That's why basketball is a game for everyone, and one whose values we can all share. So let's get started with this terrific group of young men who are moments away from hearing their names called. The first pick in the 2020 NBA Draft belongs to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have 5 minutes to make their selection.
The Timberwolves are on the clock. Minnesota with Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell as cornerstones there and trying to sort of re-energize a franchise that has really struggled in recent years. And the question is exactly how will they go about that? The franchise was established in 1989. The biggest star in Timberwolves history, easily the big ticket, Kevin Garnett, the fifth pick taken in the 1995 draft. He is the franchise leader in basically every statistical category. Under the great Flip Saunders, they went to the playoffs 8 straight times in 2004. They reached the Western Conference Finals. Kevin Garnett was the MVP. But since 2007, it's been a really tough time for the Timberwolves. They have the lowest winning percentage in the NBA, but now at the first pick, will they keep that for themselves and add someone to go with Towns and Russell, or will they trade it? Reese Davis, alongside Jay Williams, Jay Billis, Mike Schmidt, Adrian Wojnarowski will have all of the news for us throughout the night. Malika Andrews will be talking to the players as they are selected. Bobby Marks, from a front office perspective, will give us some insight there as well. So Minnesota on the clock right now. Woj told us earlier in our draft preview show that they're taking calls right up until the moment that they have to announce their pick. You're sitting in their shoes. How would you approach this? What would you do?
Well, first, if you're going to use the pick, you take the best player. I'm not sure that at the number one spot, you're worried too much about fit. I think you're worried about the best player available. And this year, the top 3 players we're looking at are all different. They're really different. And I think reasonable basketball minds can differ on, is LaMelo Ball the right choice or Anthony Edwards the right choice? You know, those are close calls to make. But if you are going to wait, if they are fielding offers right now and you're not sold on the top pick, you're not sold on your guy, trading down and getting multiple assets is not a bad thing in this draft, because you can get a couple of starters here that could wind up turning into all-stars if you're not sure that the guy you're taking at the top is going to be a franchise caliber player for you.
And I think it's safe to assess this class and say there's no LeBron James in this class. There's no one guy that can just carry a franchise to a championship pretty much on his own back, right?
That you're sure of.
That you're sure of as of right now. I think there's a lot of pieces in this draft. So if you're Minnesota, if you are taking a lot of calls up to the last wire, I think that's a smart move. But Jay, I would kind of slightly differ with you. I don't know if taking a LaMelo Ball with having a D'Angelo Russell who needs to be on the ball and handle the ball to that extent would be the best move for them. You know, James Wiseman has already said he didn't come out and say this, but he hasn't taken a workout with Minnesota. Not sure about how he thinks the fit would be with the Karl Anthony Towns. I think Anthony Edwards is the right selection here if they do not decide to trade it. The question just becomes that youth. You know, if you can trade it and get a veteran around Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, that can help them with the 5-year trajectory of this team.
And Edwards would give them an infusion of athleticism that they really don't have. If you look at D'Angelo Russell, more of a cerebral, skill-based guy. Karl Anthony Towns is the same way, whereas, I mean, we've seen Anthony Edwards. He's a freight train to the rim when he wants to be 230 pounds. He'll put you on a poster, and he can go get a bucket at will. So I do think basketball-wise, it would make a lot of sense drafting Anthony Edwards. I would still go with LaMelo Ball. It's a multi-guard league right now. Sure. Multiple ball handlers. Teams want guys who can dribble, pass, and shoot, and I'll take the 6'7" guy who can make everyone around him better. But still, I get the fit with Anthony Edwards.
You see the key players the Timberwolves have, hoping that D'Angelo Russell will live up to his draft position from a few years ago when he was taken second overall. Anything in terms of any of these guys that particularly worry you? And a lot of times teams are afraid to go number one because they don't want that big bust like we've seen teams have.
Yeah, I wouldn't say worry, but there are concerns. I mean, with Edwards, he's not the most focused defender. His shot selection is questionable. And there is a thing about is he going to do what it takes to be great? LaMelo Ball doesn't shoot it great. He's not a great. Actually, Lonzo's a better shooter coming out of college, or coming into the draft, I should say, than LaMelo is right now. And he also doesn't guard anybody. Now, that may change in the future, but right now, that's sort of who he is.
Got about 30 seconds left on the clock right now. Woj told us a little while ago that they were going to field calls right up until the very end. Remember, Minnesota's got 3 of the top 33 picks in this draft right now, so they have some assets to play with right now.
Yeah, 117-33. Also, Malik Beasley, he's a restricted free agent too, so that can play a little bit of a factor when you think about Anthony Edwards.
And just drafted Jarrett Culver.
Exactly.
As well.
So we've got just seconds to go now, winding down, and still the pick is not in, which leads you to believe that perhaps the Timberwolves are entertaining everything and anything that people are sending their way. Do they have the right cornerstones, Jay Will, in terms of can they build a big-time winner with Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell as the cornerstones of the franchise?
Look, I mean, if you want to keep Karl Anthony Towns in Minnesota, you need to start putting the right pieces around him to start winning these type of games. It's been a challenging year for Karl Anthony Towns all the way around. My condolences to him losing his mother this year due to COVID. It's been incredibly difficult for him. But I do like the core, especially if D'Lo continues to progress in the way he's progressing, right? When he came from Brooklyn, he was an all-star, made the all-star team, was playing at a very